watching the Modern Oracle on 1-2 Radio on YouTube. If you are watching this as it airs, it is Tuesday, July 7th, and we are talking about the energy coming in July 2026 and what we can use it for and what to know and what to look out for and what to do about it. So, first of all, before we talk about the energy of July, I want to mention that we are midway through 2026, and July is the perfect time for a reset, and in particular, this month is a perfect time for a reset, and we're going to find out why. First of all, let's talk about January. Oh, I know. January 1st. January 1st comes along. That's the day that we in modern times celebrate the new year. Why? I don't know, but we do. And we think, okay, January 1st, I'm going to make these resolutions. I'm going to new me, new year, new diet, new habits, new sleep schedule, new drinking routine, whatever. Predictably, by January 15th, we're like, wait, what was I going to do? I don't think it was going to be eating 3 donuts every day by noon. What was that? What was that I was going to do with my life starting January 1st? I don't remember. I'm being a little facetious. But most of us, we get to July and we go, oh man, everything I wanted to accomplish, what did I want to accomplish this year? Well, think about it. Most of us probably are going to say, well, what I had set for myself for July 2026, for the year of 2026, some of it's going the way I wanted it to go. A lot is not. Some people might say nothing is going the way I wanted it to go. This is a bad year, or this is a year that's totally wild, totally upended. Some people, a handful of people might say, boy, this year is not going the way I expected and it's going amazing. And then some people might say, yeah, everything I planned is going the way I wanted it to. And if that is you, please email me. I want to know, how'd you do it? Most of us are going to be in that middle category though of, yeah, some of the things are going the way I wanted to and a lot is not. And that's all right. That's actually appropriate, right? Because what we are intending, what we are manifesting, what we are creating in our lives, they're all the things we say we're going to make, create, do, manifest, receive, right? But there is generally, for most people, going to be some sort of education and experimentation and journey and transformation to get to that point. As an example, let's say you always wanted to be a lawyer. Well, very few people are going to say, I want to be a lawyer, and now I'm a lawyer and I know all kinds of things about the law. No, you go to college, then you take the LSATs, then you go to law school, you do an internship, whatever, right? You do all the things you do to become an attorney. That's most things in life. Most things. Even areas where people have natural talent. I don't know about you, we've been watching the World Cup, soccer, it's a big thing in our household here. People might have natural talent for soccer. Lionel Messi, that guy is amazing, but he also trains and then was trained and then works with coaches, works with the best coaches, right? He does the things he needs to do to support that dream. Okay, so a lot of us believe that we want to manifest or create or achieve one thing, but we actually keep kind of having either things get in the way or we get in the way of that. And this month, July 2026, is going to offer you the opportunity to take a look at that. The reason I say that is because of 3 major astrological events happening this month. Okay, so first of all, let me bring up my ephemeris. Where'd you go? Okay, first of all, of course, back on June 29th, I believe it was, Mercury stationed retrograde in Cancer. Okay, it's going to remain there until July 23rd, and even then, it's going to be in the shadow of that retrograde until August. Now, Mercury retrograde is something that often freaks a lot of people out. For those of us born in a retrograde, we're just like, whatever, situation normal, AFU, right? It's just normal. And it's actually a great time. It's a great time for a lot of things because it's about reviewing, revisiting, double checking, right? So Of course, this retrograde is happening in Cancer, so it's going to be around things like safety, your home, your memory, old relationships, old narratives, security. Okay. So things to look out for in general regarding this Mercury retrograde in Cancer right now are going to be things like miscommunications, particularly with family members or spouses or children or parents. Reacting emotionally before you understand what somebody meant. Old family dynamics. This is a big one. Nostalgia masquerading as guidance or intuition. Be careful. People from the past resurfacing. I mean, I'm not surprised that an ex-boyfriend from like 20 years ago emailed me for the first time. That's the first time I've heard from him in like 20 years. Okay. We're going to be revisiting old conversations, old arguments, old fights, recurring fights. There might be technology annoyances, travel or schedule problems. Mostly, we're going to be feeling very sensitive. Now, that is data, my friends. Just be aware that this is a moment where if you act impulsively, and we'll get to that in a moment, you might be making a decision based on an old wound rather than your actual self now or the self that you're heading toward becoming. Okay, so a big question regarding Mercury retrograde in Cancer this time is, am I responding to what's happening now, or am I responding to what this situation reminds me of? There's nothing wrong with learning from the past. There's everything right with learning from the past. But we just want to make sure that we're using this energy to our best right now, okay? Because sometimes the past will come around again for a good reason, like a long lost friend shows up and you hit it off again, and that connection is still there, and you become friends again. But sometimes it comes back so you can see it clearly, okay? Now, next, Neptune retrograde in Aries. This, if you're watching this the day this show airs, July 7th, that's today, okay? The day of this show. Neptune, of course, is associated with ideals, dreams, the other side, very, very flexible boundaries, right? Narratives that are driving our actions, especially narratives driving our actions we may not be aware of. And I mean, there's a lot of synchronicity with the Mercury in retrograde around this, okay? I mean, very cute. It's very cute. It's a very cute thing. Very cute. Because one thing about Neptune is it's also associated with illusion, fantasy. I won't go so far as to say nostalgia, but there's a connection. There's a connection. Dissolving boundaries, right? But Aries is about identity, action, impulsiveness, initiative, independence, the self, beginnings. So the question right now with Neptune retrograding in Aries is, wait a minute, is this dream mine? Is this goal mine? Who does this dream belong to? Does it belong to me? Have I been performing my dreams or somebody else's? Maybe you wanted to lose 20 pounds. Why? Is the number actually 20, or is that just a big number based on a societal, I don't want to say norm, because right about now society is a little bit like super messed up around that number, right? Like what is an actual appropriate number for people? Why? Maybe you wanted to get married. Did you want to get married? Why? Was it because it was what was expected of you? Was it to end loneliness and so you marry just anybody, not the right person? Why, right? Is this your real dream? Okay. So things to look out for when we have Neptune retrograding in Aries. Acting impulsively because it feels destined. I identify with that one a lot. That's like my whole life. Less so as I get older, thankfully. Here's one. Confusing desire with divine instruction. Spiritual bypassing. Making yourself the main character, the hero, or the victim of every story, even if it's not your story. Most importantly, believing intensity equals truth. Don't do that. Okay. Now, how do we use this energy? Go back to that dream. Go back to that dream and ask, what did I think having this dream come true would make me feel? Was it going to make me feel safe, loved, seen, powerful, liberated, relieved, created, right? Because it's not necessarily that you need a new dream. It may be that you want to understand what the dream is trying to give you so you can better align your actions. Because the third piece to look at for the energy this month is Jupiter. Jupiter has, I don't know why I had to say it like Linda Richmond, Jupiter, Jupiter. Jupiter has just entered Leo, okay? And this is the counterpoint to all of that retrograde energy. This is great, and it's not against or opposed. It is actually a wonderful way to use this little trifecta of energy for your mid-year reset, to understand who you are, what you're doing, and how to shift it into who you really want to become, okay? So Jupiter, let's see, let me look at this. Jupiter entered Leo, June 29th. That was a big day, right? And it's going to stay in, Jupiter entered Leo that day, and it's going to stay there for about a year. Now, remember, Jupiter is all about expansion, wisdom, abundance, growth. And Leo, I mean, Leo is about creativity, presence, visibility, fabulousness, right? Confidence, drama, leadership. Think Kim Cattrall in Sex and the City, or kind of in anything. I don't know if she's a Leo, but she sure seems like one. Self-expression, right? For sure her character Samantha is. Okay. This is going to be the counterpoint, like I said, to all that retrograde energy, because Mercury says review. And then Neptune retrograde says just question the dream. And Jupiter in Leo says, all right, once I find out what I really want to do and where I'm really heading and what really makes me feel alive, baby, I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to make it rain, right? Go big or go home, okay? Now, there are shadow sides to that energy, of course. Ego, arrogance, grandiosity, needing applause all the time, performing authenticity instead of being authentic. Boy, overspending, overpromising, thinking that every single idea needs to become an empire, right? But this is a great time to use this energy to let yourself be seen, to lead, to take your creativity seriously, okay? Now, how do we use this energy? Well, there is one last little thing I want to mention, which is Uranus and Gemini, and a little bit of future shock, okay? So Uranus entered Gemini way back in April, but it is going to be forming a sextile with Neptune on July 15th and an exact trine with Pluto in Aquarius on July 17th. And this is going to be a little sort of Bermuda Triangle. Well, it's not a Bermuda Triangle. It's a portal into a new opening regarding communication, thoughts, how we think, how we synthesize thought, technology. There probably will be some kind of big AI situation, big AI announcement. There is probably going to be confusion about what's true and what's not true. That does seem to describe our time. But just know that this is going to be a time of disruption, but also innovation, okay? The unexpected, and Gemini is all about information. So look out for information overloads. Don't doom scroll. Look out for narratives to change rapidly, beliefs to change rapidly. Be careful about believing in things just because a lot of people are all of a sudden saying something is so, okay? Definitely, this is going to be a moment where how we harness information is different and what we do with it is different. But you can use it to your benefit by remaining open-minded and flexible. Okay, I want to give you a little practice now on what to do with all of this energy, okay? So this is your time to get your journal or whatever, wherever you can write some questions down and do a little self-inquiry. Because remember that we are looking at. The reason I started with January is because we're looking at, how did I want this year to go? And how is this year going? But this is not just about 2026. This is about in general at this time of your life. What were your dreams? What are the things that you want to create and receive? How's it really going? And understanding what is it that you hoped those dreams and manifestations would give you emotionally. And then what are we going to do about it? Okay, so this is going to be a very short but powerful journaling practice to help you get there. Question number 1. What is working? Okay, before you change anything, just what's alive? What's working? So this could be, for example, certain friendships, certain creative projects, certain habits, routines, medications, boundaries, sleep routines, bedtimes, therapy, exercises, right? Like some of you know, last year I changed from one type of exercise to another, and it's really working for me. I love it. If ever that changes, I'll shift, right? So things that you can look at to ask what is working is, where does my life currently have energy? Where am I juiced up? Where do I feel alive? Where is it good? What do I naturally find myself returning to? What feels easier now than it did 6 months ago? Okay. The reason it's important to look at what's working right now is because we don't want to dismantle something that's actually supporting us, right? Question number 2. Obviously, it is what is no longer working, not what's wrong with me. That's not a question to ask. The question is, what system, relationships, habits, expectations, commitments, illusions, fantasies, what in this category, what is no longer working for me? What is no longer serving the person I actually am right now, let alone the person I wish to become? But let's start with the person you actually are right now, okay? This could be, for example, an old schedule that was really about a previous version of your life, or an old form of exercise that no longer really is for you, right? I did yoga for so many years and ballet bar for so many years, and I loved it. And then I started getting so bored, I just couldn't get myself to even go. And that is not me. I am a get up and go kind of gal. I keep my commitments. I am kind of disciplined and I enjoy physical activity. But I was bored because of decades, not because of the exercise itself. They're wonderful exercises. So I got into a different kind of exercise. I started weightlifting and I started going back to jogging and running. And you know what? Now, about once a week, I crave either ballet bar or yoga, but it's not the whole shebang. That's just an example, right? Other things that might not be working now could be old relationships or just friendships that you are carrying on because of duty or guilt or because you're afraid to let it go. A goal you no longer actually want, a goal that's unrealistic, a wellness project that's become punishing rather than empowering, trying to convince somebody to choose you, being a pick-me, any spiritual practice that feels dead. These things are no longer working for you. And I want to tell you, it's not that something's wrong with you. It may be that the plan is no longer working for you. And it's time to tweak the plan. But we want to keep what's working and we want to keep what's not working. Okay. Question 3. Where is the energy now? Not what should I accomplish? What am I supposed to do? Where's the energy supposed to be? But yeah, where is the energy? Now that energy could be curiosity, obsession, envy. Envy will tell you where the energy is. It's okay right now for you to admit, acknowledge, and explore parts of yourself that you might think are spiritually imperfect or unattractive, because it's giving you data. Okay, it's giving you information. What are your obsessions? Repeated ideas, anger, grief, envy, attention. Where is your attention going? That is going to help you understand what you want, what your desires are, where the energy actually is right now, okay? Because your attention, which is basically the number one commodity in the world right now, is your attention. That is information, okay? Not every obsession is destiny. Not every envy is destiny. Not every thought is intuition. But repeated energy does deserve exploration and curiosity. It really does. So now the practice, now that you've done this exercise and you've explored these questions, we're going to do a little reset, okay? Of the things that are working for you, whatever you wrote down, I want you to pick 3 things that are working for you. 3 things that you want to keep carrying into the second half of 2026, right? Whether that's a habit, a relationship, a person, a project, a boundary, a practice. 3 things that you're going to keep. Next, release. What are 3 things you're going to stop forcing? What are the things that you're maintaining primarily because you think you're supposed to? Or where are areas where you are arguing with reality? A good tip on that is things that are triggering you, okay? I mean, I'm not saying you got to quit your job or go get a divorce. I'm saying releasing things around this, like an expectation or a deadline or a fantasy or a specific outcome. What are 3 things that you are willing to stop forcing? And then, number 3, what are we following? Remember where that energy is. What are you curious about? What keeps calling for your attention? What feels alive? I don't want you to pick 3. I want you to just pick one. Just pick one thing to follow for now, okay? Because you're keeping 3 things, you're releasing 3 things, and you're just going to follow for now one thing. And my challenge to you for the month of July is to give that one thing 10% more energy. 10%, not 100%. You're not going to change your whole life to go become a pirate unless you're really ready for that. Okay, 10%. So maybe you get the book out of the library. Maybe you sign up for the class. Maybe you write down a plan and write down, if it's July 7th, you write down 24 actions to take 1 a day this month. And take those actions, okay? 1 a day. Don't take 24 actions in 1 day. I mean, right? If you want to take 2 in a day, that's fine. I'm just saying 1 a day. Because remember, Mercury asks us to review. Neptune asks us to examine the dream and the transformation available to us via the dream and our truth around that dream. And then Jupiter says, baby, go big or go home. Bring it. Even if that's just 10%. 10%. Okay? Now, that is the energy for the month of July. And I hope I've given you a framework on how to use it, what you can do with it. If you want to come find me, I'm over at one2listen.com/Erin. That is ERIN. You can find me on Instagram at one2listenerin, as in the number 12, 12 listen Erin. Or you can find me on TikTok. I don't remember my username. I think it's Erin C. But I do a lot of shorter relationship videos, primarily relationship videos. But if we want to talk more about dreams and manifestations and plans and journaling and tweaking transformation, I'll do more of that too if people ask me to. It's just that I get a lot of questions about relationships over on TikTok and Insta, so that's primarily what I've been talking about lately. Also, if you're watching this on Tuesday, July 7th, from 10 a.m. till 11 a.m. at one2listen.com/Erin, I will be available for a reduced rate for that hour, so you can come talk to me. And of course, I'll be available throughout the week. So come find me. I'd love to talk. Have a wonderful July, and I'll see you next week.